Around 198, the Seleucids from Syria went down into Israel and conquered Israel. Okay, so the Seleucids, around 200, come down into Israel, and they are not tolerant of Israel. And so there's going to be some real conflicts now. The Syrians are going to try to force the Jews to become Hellenists, okay, to become Greek. So the Syrians are going to force their way down under Seleucus' rule and try to force the Jews. When you force one culture to become another culture, it doesn't work. There's rough edges. There's going to be huge clashes. And that's exactly what happens. Antiochus III took over. Antiochus III, or the Great, took over, and he's the one that conquered Israel away from the hands of the Ptolemies. The Ptolemies were tolerant. Egypt is rather provincial, to be honest with you. In many generations, Egypt is kind of to themselves. They don't want to conquer the world. Egypt wants to be just left alone, basically. So the Syrians came down, took Israel in the Battle of Panion in 198 BC. Palestine gets taken away from the Ptolemies, who were good to the Jews. Romans are starting to enter the picture. The Romans are starting to flex their muscle. What does Rome want? Rome wants from Egypt, they want food. What do they want from Palestine and Syria, particularly Syria? They want money. They want taxes. And so Roman rule will start to be pushing out here, wanting money. Now, where are the Syrians going to get money for Rome? The Syrians really can't fight Rome. The Syrians aren't strong enough, so they need money to pay the taxes to Rome. So they're not going to take it from their own people very much. They're going to want to take it from the Jews. You conquer a group of people, and you take all their wealth and then give it to the Romans. And so that's basically what's going to be happening here. Roman taxing is putting pressure on Syria, and so they're going to go after Israel. Now, this guy, Antiochus IV, is an incredibly evil person. Antiochus IV is going to be, in the book of Daniel, chapter 11, other places, he is going to be a foreshadow or an adumbration of the Antichrist. This guy, when you read about the Antichrist, there will be little shadowings that go back to this guy as very much anti-God. Antiochus IV, he's the son of Antiochus III, as you'd expect. He takes over about 175, he rolls down to 163. Okay? He calls himself Epiphanes, Antiochus Epiphanes, Antiochus the Illustrious. The people misnamed him, and kind of a play on words, Epimanes, which means Antiochus the madman. And so there was a real clash. He was wanting to see himself as the illustrious, and the people saw him as a madman. And what did he do? He tried to forcibly Hellenize the Greeks, or the Jews, I'm sorry. He tried to forcibly Hellenize the Jews. And what he did was he forced Greek deities to be set up in the temple area. Now, what does that do to the Jews? The Jews have one God, Jehovah. Now he's setting up pagan deities in the Temple Mount. The Jews just totally felt violated by that, pagan deities on the Temple Mount. He required that people not circumcise their children. And so now a mother of twins has twin boys. She's told by God that those boys need to be circumcised on the 8th day, as it says in the Old Testament, circumcised on the 8th day. The woman has a choice. Does she obey God or does she obey Antiochus? Antiochus Epiphanes says, no circumcision. She instead follows God. She circumcises her boys. You know what Antiochus does? He ties the two baby boys around her neck and throws her off a cliff. And all the two babies and the mother are killed. Okay? Antiochus the madman. This guy is forcibly trying to force the Jews into Hellenism. It was really ugly and wicked. He offers pigs on the altar. He offers pigs on the altar. If you know anything about Jewish background, you know they don't eat ham, they don't eat pork, okay? Pig was considered unclean. So a Jewish person does not eat pork. It's considered unclean, and therefore this was not kosher. It didn't have K on the can, okay? The pigs were offered on the altars that totally violated the altar, which was to be made to sacrifices to God, now becomes a place where pigs, that which is unclean, totally defiling the altar, defiling the whole thing because of the pigs and things. The scriptures, the Syrians realized the importance of the book, and the Syrians would burn the scriptures and stuff whenever they found them. So the Syrians were very much anti-Jewish. the Jews have faced this kind of persecution for thousands of years. Hitler's Germany was just one. Esther faced it back in her day, and now Antiochus Epiphanes is doing something similar. However, Antiochus Epiphanes, pushing down from Damascus and Syria, when he runs across certain Jews, he's going to have some problems, because there's going to be certain Jews that aren't going to take it. They're going to fight back. Now you've got some Jews who set up like this. Onias wanted to be high priest. And so now you've got these Syrians pushing down, so Onias tries to buy the high priesthood for money. So now you've got the high priesthood, rather than coming down from the line of Aaron and Zadok and being high priest, now the high priesthood is up to the highest bidder. Onias spends money on it. Jason gets a gym built and adopts Hellenism. And so Jason, you even see the name Jason, is a very non-Jewish name. And so therefore this guy takes over the high priesthood. Finally, Menelaus, this guy is a louse, basically he's from the tribe of Benjamin, and he takes over and uses the temple treasure. He takes the temple treasure of Jewish temple treasure and pays it to the Syrians so that he can be high priest. He's of the tribe of Benjamin. In order to be a priest, you had to be of what tribe? The tribe of Levi, and a descendant of Aaron somehow. He is of the tribe of Benjamin. It's not even the right tribe, and yet he takes over the high priesthood. So the high priesthood now is violated, and the Jewish people come to offer their sacrifices. They got this weirdo guy from Benjamin who's high priest now. It totally violates the Jewish culture. So that there's all this really anti-Jewish, trying to destroy the Jewish culture and inculcate them with, and basically big brother eyes, brainwash them into Hellenism. Well, the Jews are going to react strongly against that. He even sets up in the altar area in the Temple Mount, he sets up an image of himself. And that's called the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet several hundred years, over 250 years before this time, 350 years actually. Daniel is going to talk about the abomination of desolation. By the way, Jesus will also refer to the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet. And this abomination of desolation is done by Antiochus Epiphanes. He sets up apparently an altar with an image of himself and forces people to worship him or something like that. So he sets up and it requires people to worship him. And that imagery then is said what will happen in the end times, that there'll be one, the Antichrist will come and demand worship of all people. And so here we got with Antiochus, as you have Cyrus being a kind of foreshadowing of Jesus Christ, of the Messiah, Cyrus being called the Messiah and Jesus fulfilling that. Here you've got Antiochus Epiphanes being the forerunner of the Antichrist with the abomination of desolation. And so you've got both these people echoing into themselves into the New Testament. And so this abomination of desolation, desecrating the Temple Mount that was supposed to be for Jehovah, God Almighty, now desecrated with the image of this evil man and people made to worship.